Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Let's continue from exercise number 5. Iqra ma yali. Read the following. Thumma aktubhu. Then write it. Ma with. So we know that ma is a preposition. That's why the noun that follows it will be majroor. It will take kasra. Ma kitabatil arqamil waridati. By writing the following numbers, fihi, in it, bil hurufi, with the words. Now, as we know that kitabatun is basically the masdar of kataba yaktubu. So it is majroor because of ma, and al arqamil waridati are majroor because of it is used as mudaf as well. Al-arqam is mawsuf, al-warida is sifa. Al-arqam, as we know, is the plural of raqmun. Raqmun, and the plural is arqamun. So basically it's a broken plural, which is treated as singular feminine. That's why the adjective that we used for it is also used for the singular feminine. Waridatun means the following, the coming. So basically now we have to write the numbers or the digits into huruf. Ja'a min as-Sini hadha al-ama hajin. So now we know that it's 200, and Ja'a is, we know, is the past tense. And after that we have min as-Sini, as we know that min as-Sini is jar majroor. So it cannot be the doer, the fa'il. So we have to look for the fa'il. So the fa'il will be basically the doer of the action. So it will be Ja'a min as-Sini hadha al-ama miyata hajin, 200 pilgrims. As we know that it was basically miyatani, and when the dual is used as mudaf, then the noon will be dropped, so it will be miyata. That's number one. Number two, when we talk about the dual noun is always marfu by alif, as it is miyatani. So ani, as we know, the a alif is the sound of the dual of the file, and the doer, the file, will always be with alif for the dual, and mansub and majroor will be always aini sound. So now the file for ja'a is miyata hajin. That is a file, and it was miyatani, and the noon has been dropped. Now we know that al-kalima miyatun is always used as mudaf, and mudaf ilayh is always singular. So kalima miyatun is always used as mudaf, and we know that the i'rab of mudaf will always change according to the amil. It can be marfu, it can be mansub, and it can be majroor. However, we know that mudaf ilayh is always majroor. So we have this example from Surah Al-Baqarah. فَأَمَاتَهُ اللَّهُ مِيَةَ عَامٍ. So as we can see here, amata is the past tense, and who is basically maf'ul bihi, ismul jalala is the file. And now we have here mudaf ilayh, which is mansub, and amin, as we can see here, it is singular noun. So whenever we use miyatun in Arabic language, it will be always used as mudaf, and mudaf ilayh will be always singular, miyata amin, 100 years. Uridu, I want. So here it was ja'a, so that means it is only the file, the past tense, the fail, the past tense. But when we say uridu, I want, so even when we look at it in English, we say I want. I, subject, want is the verb. So similarly, uridu, we know that ana is basically inside it, so it is ana uridu. We know that in Arabic, every verb has a inbuilt damir inside it. So uridu means I, ana uridu, I want. So now we have fail plus file. Now we have to look for maf'ul bihi. So the maf'ul bihi is always mansub. So it is 200 nuskhatin min hadal kitabi. So I want 200 copies from this book. So it will be uridu miyatai. Now why it is miyatai? Because we know that it is in the place of maf'ul bihi, and maf'ul bihi is always mansub. So it was basically miyataini And when it is used as mudaf, the noon will be dropped, so it becomes miyatay nuskhatin, 200 copies min hadal kitabi, from this book. Ishtaraitu, I bought. Again, ishtaraitu is the past tense, and it consists of the file I bought. Ishtaraitu, I bought. Hadhihi sa'ata, this watch. B, so we know that B is harf jar. So the noun that follows it will be always majroor. So it will be bimiyatay riyalin. Bimiyatay riyalin. And it was miyataini, and the noon has been dropped because it is used as mudaf. And as we know that after miyatun or miyataini, whether it is 100 or 200, mudaf ilayh will be always singular and it will be always majroor. Adadu, number. So we know that the noun over here has no al, doesn't have tanween. So that means it is used as mudaf, and mudaf ilayh will be always majroor. So adadu tullab al-hunudi, the number of Indian students, bil jamiati, in the university, 200. So now we have to see that it is, because basically adadu tullab al-hunudi bil jamiati will be mubtada, and we know that mubtada is always marfu, that's why it has dhamma, and that's why 200, of course, it has to be marfu as well. So it will be miyatani. The number of 200, the number of Indian students in this university is 200 students. Now we have to see that here we don't have to drop the noon. Why we don't have to drop it? Because here it is not used as mudaf. So the noon has to be, please remember that the noon has to be only dropped when it is used as mudaf. In the regular construction, the noon will not be dropped. So basically this part, the first part is mubtada, so that's why it is marfu, and the second part is khabar, and we know that khabar is always marfu, and the dual is always marfu by alif, miyatani. Very interesting sentence over here. A and we know that the combination of a and this is called hamza to taswiyah, the hamza of equality. So we know that whatever comes after a must follow as well. So now here, junayhin is pounds. The fa'ata you paid. So the fa'ata you paid, again, we can see that it is fail plus file, yani anta the fa'ata. So it is fail plus file. Now we have to look for the maf'ul bihi, the receiver of the action. So the receiver of the action, of course, will be alpha. Alpha junayhin. Now, why alpha is mansub? It is mansub because it is maf'ul bihi for the fa'ata. As we have discussed that the fa'ata is fail plus file, and alpha is maf'ul bihi, and maf'ul bihi is always mansub. That's why it takes fatha. Alpha junayhin, the fa'ata, alfay junayhin. And similarly, alfay is also maf'ul bihi for the fa'ata as well. So as we know that it was basically alfani, alfaini, alfaini, it is mansub because it is maf'ul bihi, and when we use it as mudaf, then the noon has to be dropped. So that's why it has become alfay junayhin. Did you pay 1,000 pounds or 2,000 pounds? Now the same thing, the rule of miyatun wa alfun is the same. Whether it is miyatun or alfun, both of them are used as mudaf. That's number one. And mudaf ilayh is always singular. Whether it is miyatun or alfun, mudaf ilayh will be always singular. And we have the example over here from the Quran. Laylatul qadri khayrum min alfi shahrin. So now we can see here that alfi is majroor because of min. And we know that mudaf can be mansub or majroor or marfur. However, mudaf ilayh is always majroor. So the only thing that we need to remember over here, whether it is miyatun or alfun, both of them are used as mudaf. That's number one. And mudaf ilayh is always singular and it is always majroor. Asha lived Isa alayhi salamu, Isa alayhi salam, qabla. So we know that qabla is also used as special mudaf. So that means 2,000 here will be mudaf ilayh. So it will be Asha Isa alayhi salamu qabla alfay sanatin. Alfay sanatin because here it is majroor. It is after qabla is mudaf and mudaf ilayh is always majroor. So it was alfaini, it was alfaini, and the noon has been dropped, so it becomes alfay sanatin. Whenever after miyatun and alfun, whenever we have tamiz after that, or we have the number after that, then it will be used as mudaf. So that's why the noon has to be dropped. Indi, I have, indi is basically dharf plus ya al-mutakallim. So this is mudaf ilayh. And we know that indi cannot be used as mubtada. It is always used as khabar because dharf and mudaf ilayh cannot be mubtada. So that means 1000 riyal is in the place of mubtada. And similarly, indaka, 2000 riyals is also in the place of mubtada, and we know that mubtada is always marfu'. So the answer will be in the alfu riyalin, I have 1000 riyals, wa indaka alfani, and you have 2000. And after that, because we don't have riyalin after that, that's why the noon doesn't have to be dropped. If we had riyalin after that, only in that case, we had to drop noon. So that's why the noon will not be dropped. So in the alfu riyalin, as we have discussed over here, that alfu is always used as mudaf, and mudaf ilayh will be always singular and majroor. So I have 1000 riyals and you have 2000 riyals. وَهَذَا الْمَبْلَغُ, and this amount yakfina is enough for us. Yadrusu bil jamiati. Okay, yadrusu, as we know that this is present tense, and we have to look for yadrusu, studies. So we have to look for the fa'il, for the doer. So bil jamiati, again jar majroor, it cannot be the doer. So that means 2000 students is basically the doer. So it will be alfa talibin. So now, because after alfa we have talibin, and as we have discussed just now, that when we have the number after that, so after the number, when we have the tamyiz, the thing that is being counted. So if we have the thing that is being counted, then we have to drop noon. So it was basically alfani, and the noon has been dropped. So yadrusu is fail, verb, and alfa talibin will be the fa'il for yadrusu. Alfa talibin, that's why it is marfu', and we know that for dual, marfu' comes with alif. Talibin, min, from duali, countries, Asia. So 2000 students study from different countries of Asia in this university. Exercise number 6. Adif, add. So it is because this is fi'l al-amr, and fi'l al-amr is always majzoom. It is sakin, but when we connect it with al, then we connect it with kasra. So it will be adif al-kalimata, and kalimata is in the place of maf'ul bihi, because adif is fi'l plus fa'il. So that's why it has to be mansub. Al-kalimat al-ula, the first word, ila thaniyati, to the second, fima yali. So basically we have to use idafa for the first word to the second word in the following sentences. Ibnani, and this is one word, and hamidun is another word. So we have two nouns, and when we put two nouns together to show the possession, then what we have to do, we will put them together. So when we put them together, then we know that when we use them as mudaf ilayh, then the noon has to be dropped. That's number one. So it was ibnani, changes into ibna, and mudaf ilayh is majroor, so that's why it becomes hamidin. The regular construction will be ibnani, 2 daughters, hamidun, hamid. But when we change it into the possession construction, idafa construction, then it becomes ibna hamidin, 2 daughters of Hamid. In fact, 2 sons of Hamid. So now we have to do the same thing here. Bintani and Rashidun. So what we will do, we drop noon, and Rashidun, we change it into kasratain. So it becomes Bintani Rashidin, 2 daughters of Rashid. So it becomes Binta Rashidin, because the noon has to be dropped. Similarly, we drop the noon here, change this into kasra, so it becomes nafirat al-ghurfati. It means two windows of the room. Then we have the plural muslimuna, and even whether the noun is dual or plural, when we use it as mudaf, then the noon has to be dropped. So it becomes muslimu, and al-yabanu becomes yabani because it is mudaf ilayh, and mudaf ilayh is always majroor, so it becomes muslimul yabani, the Muslims of Japan. Here it is two daughters, here it is two windows, but here it means plural, it is plural, so it will be Muslims of Japan. Banu Isra'ilu, a very important construction, is used a lot in the Quran. So Banu, the noon has to be dropped, and Isra'ilu is mamnu min as-sarf because it's non-Arabic name. So mamnu min as-sarf, when it is majroor, it will be majroor bil fatha wa laysa bil kasra. We cannot put kasra because when we say mamnu min as-sarf, that means it does not accept kasra. So that's why it becomes Banu Isra'ila, the sons of Israel. Then we have Babani al-Madrasati. Again, noon has to be dropped. It has to be majroor, so it becomes Baba al-Madrasati. So it means Baba al-Madrasati, the two doors of the school. Mudiruna, una is always the plural sound. Una is the plural sound. So Mudiruna, the managers, al-Madarisu, the managers of the schools or the madaris. So now what we have to do, we have to put kasra, so it becomes Mudiru al-Madarisi, the managers of the schools. Yadani anta, Yadani, two hands. Anta, you, so we know we cannot use anta in the place of object or maful bihi. In the place of object or maful bihi, please remember that we have to use the object pronoun. Object pronouns means all the attached pronouns like hu, huma, hum, ha, huma, hunna, ka, kuma, kum, ki, kuma, kunna, I, and na. They are called attached pronouns, and we have to use them whether they are used as mudaf ilayh or they are used in the place of mansub. We have to use the attached pronouns. We cannot use the marfu pronouns in the place of mudaf ilayh because we know mudaf ilayh is always majroor. So that's why this is called, this is the pronoun of marfu. So we cannot use it. So that's why we will say yadaka. Yadaka means to both of your hands. Similarly, abawani and ana. So again, as we have discussed that ana is marfu, whereas we have to use majroor over here. So it will be abawaya, abawaya, both of my parents. Ainani, aina, and here means she. And for she, we have to use the attached pronoun. So it becomes ainaha, both of her eyes, both of her eyes. So now, mashallah, we have lots of practice for mudaf, mudaf alayh, lots of practice for the dual. And we know that when we use dual as mudaf, then the noon gets dropped. Then we have more practice in exercise number 7. Thanni, basically it means to make feminine. Thanna, yuthanni tathniyatan. It is verb from number 2, and fi'l al-amr will be thanni. Thannil kalimati. Kalimati, please remember over here that kalimati here is mansub. Why it is mansub? Because atun, atin, atin. Similarly, al-muslimatu, al-muslimati, al-muslimati. The sound feminine plural will be marfu with dhamma, and it will be mansub and majroor with kasra. So from the context, we will see whether it is used as mansub or majroor. In this case, it is used as mansub. Why? Because it is fail plus file and it is maful bihi. Fannil kalimati, now we have to make a feminine from the words. Allati, as we know, ismul mawsul. And after ismul mawsul, there is always a sila, and sila will be either verbal sentence or nominal sentence. In this case, it is nominal sentence. And tahtaha, as we know that it is a dharf plus mudaf ilayh. It cannot be mubtada. So khattun will be mubtada and tahtaha will be khabar. So this is basically nominal sentence. Allati tahtaha khattun, that has a line under it. Fil jumalil atiyati, in the following sentences. So all the words that have a line under them, we have to change them into feminine. Aina ammuka ya Ibrahimu? Where is your uncle, O Ibrahim? So thanni basically means to make dual, not feminine, to make dual. So basically we have to make them dual. Thanna yuthanni tathniyatan, to make dual, and muthanna, that means dual. So correction please, it doesn't mean to make feminine, it means to make dual. Aina ammuka ya Ibrahimu? Where is your uncle, O Ibrahim? And we know that the dual of ammun is ammani, and when we use it as mudaf alayh, then the noon will be dropped, so it becomes ammaka ya Ibrahimu. Where are both of your uncles, O Ibrahim? Irfa yadaka, raise your hand. Now you want to say irfa, you want to say raise both of your hands, so you will say irfa yadayka, yadani, yadaini, yadaini, and the noon has to be dropped, so it becomes yadayka. Irfa yadayka, raise both of your hands. ماذا قالت المرأة لبنتها? What did the woman say to her, both of her daughters, to one of her daughter, bint, one daughter, and when we change it into dual, it will be bintayha, both of his daughters. And we know that bintani, bintaini, bintaini, any sound is basically for the dual, and because we have harf jar, that's why it will be majroor. So it was basically bintaini, and when we drop the noon, it becomes bintayha. So li bintiha means one daughter, and li bintayha means both of her daughters. ماذا قالت المرأة لبنتها? What did the woman say to one of her daughters? And here لبنتيها, both of her daughters. غسلت رجلي, I washed my foot. And when you say I washed both of my feet, it will be رجليا. رجليني, the noon gets dropped, so we have a combination of ya al-mutakallim and sakin ya. So we know that when we have a combination of two letters that are the same, then we change them into one and put the tashdid, so it becomes rijlayya. I washed both of my feet. Ahada talmiduka? Is this your student? Now when we make dual, it will be talmidaka, talmidaka. So because here hada is mubtada and talmiduka is khabar, both of them are marfu. Similarly, ahada talmidaka, so it was basically talmidani, and the noon will be dropped, so it becomes talmidaka. Are these two or are these both of your students? So here we don't have to change into any sound or any other sound because it is marfu and it is always marfu. Dual is always marfu by alif. Khud, take, risalataka, your letter or your message. So khud, as we know, is fail plus file. So risalataka, as you can see here, it is mansub. So that's why now when we say risalata tani taini taini risalataika, so now we have to use it as risalataika, take both of your messages. So now here it has to be mansub. That's why we have to say risalataika. Ba'a, sold, Ukasha, Baitahu, his house. Ukasha sold his house. So it's very simple now. It was basically Baitani and then it becomes Baitaini. So when we just say Baitaini, then what we have to do, we have to drop noon. Now we can see here that Ba'a is fail, Ukasha is file. So Baitahu, why it is mansub? Because it is maful bihi. So when it is maful bihi, similarly Baitaini will be also maful bihi. And when we add the attached pronoun, when we say his houses, so it will become Baitaihi. Baitaihi. Ukasha sold both of his houses. Hada siwaru, this bangle, thamanuhu, its price, miyatu riyalin, is 100 riyals. So this bangle is worth 200 riyals. So it will be مئتا ريال مئتا ريال because هذا السوار ثمنه will be مبتدا and مئة ريال is خبر is always مرفوع, so it was مئتان ريال and then the noon will be dropped, so it becomes مئتا ريال. أعطيت, I gave الأجيرة, the worker or the laborer, مئة ريال, it is منصوب. We know that أعطى يعطي إعطاء requires مفعولين. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر, أعطيناك مفعول أول, الكوثر مفعول الثاني. Similarly, أعطيت, I gave, so فعل plus فاعل, الأجيرة مفعول الأول, 100 ريال المفعول الثاني. So that's why it is منصوب. So of course, مئتان will change into مئتين, and when it is مئتين, when we use it as مضاف, then the noon has to be dropped, so it becomes مئتي ريال. So why it is مئتي? Because it is mansub. And ريال is mentioned after that. So when it is only مئتين, then the noon will not be dropped. But when we mention the currency after that, then it becomes مئتي. أخوه طبيب, very simple. أخوه مبتدا, طبيب خبر. We know that مبتدا and خبر are always equal in number and gender. That's why we will say أخواه طبيبان. أخ, and the dual is أخواني. أخواني, when we say أخوا, both of his brothers, so أخواني, the noon will be dropped. So it becomes أخوا, who both of his brothers, Mubtada and Tabibani is Khabar, because we know Mubtada and Khabar are equal in number and gender. So that's why we have to say Tabibani. Here, because Akhuhu, his brother, one brother, so it will be Tabibun. But when we talk about two brothers, then we know that we have to say Tabibani. تبحث فاطمة عن أخيها. Fatima is looking for her brother. So تبحث is verb, فاطمة is the file, the doer, and أخيها is basically, عن أخيها will be in the place of مفعول به. It is basically indirect مفعول به. So when we say أخيها, the dual of أخون is أخواني, and because it is majroor over here, so it will be أخواني, أخويني, أخويني, and when we drop the noun, then it will be noon, then it will be أخويها. تبحث فاطمة عن أخويها. Fatima is looking for both of her brothers. مات أبوه, his father passed away. Fail plus file. So we will say مات أبواه, both of his parents passed away. أبواه أبواني, and then when we use that attached pronoun, because أبوا will be مضاف and who will be مضاف إليه, because all the attached pronouns, when they are used with a noun, they are always مضاف إليه. Again, please, all the attached pronouns, when they are used with a noun, please note it down, then they will be always مضاف إليه, and مضاف إليه is always مجرور. Exercise number 8. أضف الأسماء. Add the nouns. So add the nouns means, that means basically it means to show the possession. Asma, and asma is the plural of ismun. It's broken plural. That's why the adjective that we use for that will be singular feminine. أضف الأسماء الآتية إلى ياء المتكلم. ياء المتكلم. So basically what we have to do, we have to add the nouns to ياء المتكلم. وضبط, and then we have to vowelize al-ya'a, ya bishakli, in the proper form. And then we have to vowelize the ya with the proper form. Ilman, knowing. Ilman is used as hal over here. Knowing, bi anna, that. So we know that anna has ismu anna, and ismu anna is always mansub. So ya al-mutakallimi, ya will be mubtada, al-mutakallimi will be khabar. And basically this combination is the ismu inna. So when we have ismu inna, there is always khabaru inna, and khabaru inna is maftuhatun. Why? Because ya is a letter, and all the letters in Arabic are feminine. That's why the ismu khabaru inna will be always feminine. So knowing that ya al-mutakallim has fatha, here maftuhatun doesn't mean it's open. Here it means that it has fatha. Ma'a ismin, with the noun, akhiruhu. So it should be akhiruhu, because whenever we have who, and we have dhamma before it, then it should take dhamma. Alifun aw ya'un sakinatun. Whenever we have alif or ya sakina to the end of it. So it's very simple. Basically, if we look over here, it says that akhawani is basically dual noun. And when we add ya al-mutakallim to that, we will add ya al-mutakallim by dropping the noon. That's number one. And number two, please remember that whenever we have alif before ya al-mutakallim, it always takes fatha. Very simple. Whenever we add ya al-mutakallim to the dual noun and there is alif before it, then we have to put fatha to this, and that is what they require from us, that they want to put ya in the proper formation. So this is ya, and we have to give it the proper formation, and the proper formation means that we have to put fatha on it. Why we have to put fatha on it? Because there is alif before it. So ukhtani, very simple, drop noon, add ya al-mutakallim, ukhtaya, both of my sisters. Abawani, drop noon, it will be abawaya, both of my parents. Sadiqani, both of my, Sadiqani means two friends, and you want to say both of my friends, so you will say Sadiqaya. And similarly, Zimilani, two colleagues. When you want to say two of my colleagues, you will say Zamilaya. Yadani, two hands, and when you want to say both of my hands, you will say Yadaya. Ainani, two eyes, and when we want to say both of my eyes, we will say Ainaya. Ainaya, both of my eyes. Adif, again, add or show idafa, yani show possession. Adifil and kalimati is mansub here. Please remember that it is mansub. Allati tahtaha khattun, we have analyzed it already. Ila ya il mutakallimi. So because after ila it will take kasra, it is mudaf, and al mutakallimi is mudaf ilayh. Wadabit al ya'a, and then we have to vowelize ya bishakli in the proper formation. Again, the focus is on ya al mutakallim. So when we look at the example, inshallah, it will become very easy. Ghasaltu rijlayni, I washed both of my feet. Ghasaltu, I washed rijlayya, both of my feet. So what happened basically, it was rijlayni. Why it is rijlayni? Because it is maf'ul bihi, that's number one. And maf'ul bihi, we know it is always mansub. Rijlani, rijlayni, rijlayni. So ghasaltu is fi'l plus fa'il, and rijlayni is mansub because it is maf'ul bihi, number one. When we use it as mudaf, very simple, we have to drop the noon. When we drop the noon, it becomes rijlay, and then we have to add ya al-mutakallim. Now what we have iltaqa'u sakinain, yani two sakin letters are meeting. So when two sakin letters meet, we have to put tashdid. That's number one. When we put tashdid, and when we know that this is ya al-mutakallim, when we have ya al-mutakallim, then we have to put fatha on that. So now we know that ya al-mutakallim takes fatha in two cases. Number one, when there is alif before it, and number two, when there is ya sakin before it. So the example that we took from the Quran, رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ وَلِوَالِدَيَّ. So if you remember one example from the Quran, inshallah, that will be enough from us. غَمَّدْتُ الْعَيْنَيْنِ. So غَمَّدْتُ, I closed عَيْنَيْنِ, both of my eyes. Now we want to use the word عَيْنَيْن as mudaf, so we will say عَيْنَيَّ. Aynayya. Why aynayya? Because aynayni, so noon will be dropped, plus we have to add ya al-mutakallim to that, and when we add ya al-mutakallim to that, then it becomes aynayya. I closed both of my eyes. Da'awtu as-sadiqaini, I invited two friends, and if you want to say I invited two of my friends, you will say sadiqayya. So da'awtu as-sadiqaini, I invited two friends. It could be any two friends, but when you say both of my friends, so when you want to say my friends, then it will be Sadiqayya. Sa'altu az-zamilayni, I asked two colleagues, and when you want to say I asked two of my colleagues, it will be Zamilayya. I asked both of my colleagues. Rafa'tu al-yadaini, I raised both of my hands. In fact, I raised two hands. And when you want to say I raised both of my hands, then we will say Rafa'tu yadayya, I raised both of my hands. Al-ustadani min Misra. The teachers are from Egypt. Now here we have al-ustadani is muqtada and min Misra is from khabar. And why it has fatha? Because it is mamnu bin as-sarf, because it's the name of the city. So it will be al-ustad, it will be ustadaya min Misra. So ustadaya, both of my teachers, min Misra, are from Egypt. Now here, why we don't have to use ya with tashdid? Because here it is not mansub, it is marfu'. And we know that when the noun is marfu' and it is dual, it will be ustadani. And when we drop noon, it will be remained as ustada. And when we want to add ya al-mutakallim, it will take fatha. So that's why it becomes ustadaya min Misra. Both of my teachers are from Egypt. أين وجدت دفترين? So here وجدت, أنت وجدت, so فعل plus file, and دفترين is مفعول به. That's why it is منصوب. أين وجدت الدفترين? Where did you find two notebooks? And when you want to say where did you find both of my notebooks? أين وجدت دفترية. دفترية. إن الأخوين عالمان جليلان. إن الأخوين. So we know that Ismu inna is always mansub and khabaru inna is always marfu'. So that's why it is inna al-akhawaini alimani jalilani. And when you want to say indeed both of my brothers, so you will say inna akhawayya alimani jalilani. So we know that two brothers, so this is muqtada, inna al-akhawaini is muqtada. So because it is two brothers, that's why the khabar has to be also dual as well, alimani jalilani. Indeed, both of my brothers are very big alim. Dhahabna, we went ila to Makkah. Makkah mamnu min as-sarf, that's why it has fatha. Bi sayyarataini, by two cars. And now you want to say that we went to Makkah by two of my cars. So we will say dhahabna ila Makkah bi sayyaratayya, both of my cars. Da'a qalamani, very interesting verb, da'a. Da'a is used as passive verb by itself. So da'a means it was lost. We wouldn't say he lost. Normally we say, when we say dhahaba, we say he went. When we say nasara, we say he helped. But when we say da'a, it will be translated as it was lost. What was lost? So this is fail, verb, and qalamani will be fa'il. Da'a qalamani, it will be translated as two pens were lost. So please note it down. Very special verb in Arabic language. It gives the meaning of passive. So because we know that Arabic language has a huge variety of verbs, and this is one of them that it is used as passive by itself. So when you want to say both of my pens were lost, so you will say da'a qalamaya, both of my pens were lost. So when we say da'a, it will be verb, and qalamaya will be the file, both of my pens. Both of my pens were lost. If you want to say both of his pens were lost, you will say da'a qalamahu. Da'a qalamahu, both of his pens were lost. Kila and kilta. We have seen that kila is always used as mudaf, and the feminine of kila is kilta. So both of them are always used as mudaf. Now we have a very interesting thing to know about kila and kilta. Whenever they are used as mudaf, and they are mudaf to a noun. When they are mudaf to a noun, then they are mabniyun. Ma'naha, they will be indeclinable. When they are used as mudaf to a noun, they will be always indeclinable. So we say, a'rifu, I know, kila ar-rajulaini. So because we know kila is always used as mudaf, so rajulaini is mudaf alayh, fine. But kila doesn't change. It didn't change into kilai. Why not? Because mudaf alayh for kila is rajulaini, it's a noun. So that's why we know that arifu, I know, because this is fail plus file. So now it is in the place of maful bihi. So we know that when it is maful bihi, it should be kilai, but it didn't change into kilai. Why? Because for kila, mudaf ilayh is a noun, both the men. Bahathtu, I looked for, and it always comes with the preposition of an. And similarly, again, so you see over here, kila didn't change into kilai. Why? Because mansub mudaf ilayh is a noun, so that's why it will not change. So it will remain as kila. It will not change. Whether we have fail plus file before it or we have harf jar before it, it is not going to change. Why? Because mudaf ilayh is a noun. However, when they have mudaf ilayh as a pronoun, then they will be declinable. So you see how interesting it is. So when mudaf ilayh is used as the attached pronoun, when we have attached pronoun as mudaf ilayh, then they become declinable. So they will decline. So they will change into, kila will change into kilay, and kilta will change into kiltai. And let's look at the examples. Ra'aytu, I saw, so fail plus file, both of them, kilayhima, both of them. So now kila has changed into kilay because it is mudaf for attached pronoun. Man sa'alti, who did you ask? Zainaba am Aminata? Zainab or Amina. Sa'altu kiltayhima. Sa'altu fail plus file. Kiltayhima, I asked both of them. So because both of them are feminine, that's why we have to use kiltay. And now here, it is not kila like here, and it is not kilta like, or kila like here, because we don't have kilta feminine over here. Why? Because now they have to be declined because they are used mudaf for the attached pronoun. So now inshallah, when we do more examples, it will be very clear. تأمل الأمثلة. Now reflect on the examples. Al-atiyata, the following examples. Li for kila wa kilta. So first we look at the examples, the same thing that we discussed a while ago. Aina akhawaka, where are both of your brothers? Kilahuma, both of them. Fi Dimashqa, both of them are in Dimashq. So now we know that here kilahuma is mubtada and fi Dimashqa is khabar. So that's why they are marfu. أرأيت المدرسين? Did you see two teachers or both of the teachers? نعم, yes. رأيت كليهما. كليهما, now it has changed into kilay because it is mansub, and it is because it is in the place of mansub. That's number one. And number two, because it is mudaf for the attached pronoun, that's why it has changed into kilay. أين الطالبتان الجديدتان? Where are the two feminine new students or two new feminine students? Kiltahuma عند المديرة. Here, because they are used as mubtada, that's why we don't have to change it into kiltai. We don't have to change a noun into mansub or majroor without any reason. They will change when there is a reason. Here they will not change because they are mubtada, and mubtada is always marfu. And al mudirati is jar majroor, and it is khabar. So this is mubtada and this is khabar. Both of them are with the manager. Ayya surataini hafidta. Which of the two surahs have you memorized? Hafidtu kiltayhima. I memorized both of them. Now kiltayhima, because kiltay is maful bihi and it is mudaf for the attached pronouns. That's why it has changed into kiltayhima. Abil arabiyati katabta al-unwana am bil fransiyati. Did you write the address in Arabic language or French language? Katabtu, I wrote bikiltayhima in both of them. So now because of harfi jar ba, it has changed into kiltayhima. It is majroor now because of harfi jar bi. And it is declined. Why? Because of it is attached to the attached pronoun. Man minkuma maridun al yawma. Who between both of you is sick today? Kilana maridun. Both of us are sick. Both of us are sick. Here, even though we have used na, which is used for us, but we know that there is no dual pronoun for the dual, so that's why we have to use kilana. Kilana maridun, both of us. But when we translate it, we will say both of us are sick. Mubtada and khabar. Min aina talibatani al-jadidatani. Where are the two new students from, feminine students from? Kiltahuma minan Nimsa, both of them are from Austria. So we know that it is in the place of marfu because it is mubtada. That's why it will not decline. Ayyal madarrisaini sa'alta. Which of the two teachers did you ask? Sa'altu kilayhima. I asked both of them. So now it is because in the place of mansub, it is maful bihi. That's why it has declined. So from kila, it has changed into kilay. Now we have to answer the questions. Ajib anil asilatil atiyati. Answer the following questions. Mustamilan, by using. This is hal. Inshallah, we will learn about it. Kila wa kilta. So we have to answer the questions by using kila wa kilta. Ayyul qalamaini da'a. Which of the two pens were lost? So da'a, kilahuma, both of them were lost. Da'a is fail, kilahuma is file. That's why it is marfu, and that's why it will not be declined. Ayyal kitabaini turidu an tashtariya. Which of the two books do you want to buy? So an tashtariya is fail plus file. Now they are going to be used in the place of maful bihi. Now they will be declined. So it will be uridu, I want, an ashtariya, to buy. And here ya has fatha because of an. We know that harfi an is harfi masdari, and when we use a verb after that, the verb always takes fatha. And as we can see over here, because kilayhima is in the place of mansub, maful bihi, that's why now it has declined. I want to buy both of them. Ayyal mujallataini qara'ta. Which of the two magazines did you read? Qara'tu kiltayhima. Mujallatayn is feminine, that's why it will be kiltayhima. I read both of them. Ayyu sa'ataini suriqat. Which of the two watches were stolen? Suriqat kiltahuma. Both of them were stolen. Why it is kiltahuma and why not kiltayhima? Why? Because here it is in the place of fa'il, the doer. Because suriqat, we know that this is passive verb. So this is basically in the place of na'ibul fa'il. Na'ibul fa'il, we have learned in the previous lessons, is always marfu'. So that's why we will say suriqat kiltahuma. Both of them were stolen. Ayyal lughataini ta'rifu. Which of the two languages do you know? So why ayya is mansub? It is mansub because of ta'rifu, you know. So basically it is in the place of maful bihi. But because we know it's a question word, and question word always comes in the beginning of the sentence, that's why it is ayyal lughataini. Basically the original construction will be ta'rifu ayyal lughataini. But we know that it always comes in the beginning of the sentence. That's why it will remain mansub, because it is in the place of maf'ul bihi. Al-urdiyata amil farsiyata. Al, it is basically a, and then we have al. So we have basically hamzatain. The first hamza is mutaharrik and the second is sakin. So when we have two hamzas, when the first is mutaharrik and the second is sakin, then it changes into so that's why it is al urdiyata. Do you know, or is it okay? So ayya lughatayn ta'rifu. Which of the two languages do you know? Al urdiyata, Urdu, amil farsiyata, or French? A'rifu, I know. Kiltayhima, both of them. So you know that kiltay languages are feminine. That's why it will be kiltayhima. I know both of them. Ayyul umlatayni indaka. Ayyul umlatayni means currencies. Indaka, you have. Which of the two currencies do you have? Al junayhu, amid dolaru. Pound or dollar. Indi kiltahuma. I have both of them. Now we know that kiltahuma is mubtada and indi is khabar. and that's why it is marfu, and that's why it will not decline. Whenever a noun is marfu, it does not decline. Ayyu, which, mudarrisai, as we know, mudarrisaini, it was mudarrisaini, so the noon has been dropped, so it has become mudarrisai, and ya is sakin, so when we connect sakin with al, we will have to connect it with kasra. Ayyu mudarrisayil fiqhi ghab al yawma, which of the two teachers of fiqh were absent today? Ghaba kilahuma, both of them were absent. So now we know here ghaba is fail, wakilahuma is file, that's why it is marfu, and that's why it will not decline. So that's why it is ghaba kilahuma, both of them were absent. Ayyul babaini fatahta, which of the two doors did you open? Again, fatahta fail plus file, and ayyul babaini is in the place of maful bihi. Fatahtu kilayhima, I opened both of them. So as we can see here, it is maful bihi, that's why it has declined. And why it has declined? Because it is mudaf to the attached pronoun. Don't forget this, please. Ayyun nafidataini maftuhatun. Here, ayyu is marfu. Why? Very simple, because it is mubtada and maftuhatun is khabar. So ayyun nafidataini maftuhatun. Which of the two windows are open? Kiltahuma maftuhatun. Both of them are open. Both of them are open. Kiltahuma maftuhatun. And now if you are thinking like why it is maftuhatun and why it's not maftuhatani, we have discussed in the beginning, and here we have a note about it as well, that kila and kilta, they give the meaning of dual, but they are treated as singular feminine, or singular, they are treated as singular, and that's why their khabar is singular. So we can see over here. Man minhuma da'ifun fi nahwi, which between both of them is sick in the grammar or in the syntax. So we will say kilahuma da'ifun, both of them are sick, both of them are weak. Kilahuma da'ifun, both of them are weak. So as we can see here, kila, it gives the meaning of dual, but it is singular, so that's why the khabar is singular as well. And we have the same information over here. Kila wa kilta ismani are two nouns. Lafdhuhuma mufradun, they are singular as a word. Wa ma'nahuma muthannan, and their meaning is dual. Yani in other words, we will say that kila wa kilta are nouns that are dealt with as singular nouns, but their meanings signify duality. Wa mura'atu mubtada al-lafzi is khabar. Mubtada and mubtada ilayh. Wa mura'atu al-lafzi aktharu. Giving precedence or giving importance, i.e. we deal with them as singular words even though they signify duality, is more important. So basically, we give them, the importance is given to the singularity, which is over here, that they are used as singular. And when we look at the example, nahwu, for example, kilahuma, both of them, jadidun, are new. So we can see here that this is mubtada and this is khabar, and this khabar is singular. Why? Because this is what we have seen over here. And for the feminine, we will say kiltahuma, and then we have mujtahidatun is khabar, and that's why we have this information over here, as we discussed over here, that they, by word, they are singular, but they give the meaning of dual. However, وَيَجُوزُ مُرَاعَاتُ مَعْنَاهُمَا, and it is also possible to consider the meaning as well. So what does that mean? That means that when we consider the meaning, that means that the khabar could be dual as well, because they give the meaning of duality. However, as we say, like in Arabic, afsahu, yani, and we know that in the Quran, the khabar is used as a singular, it is not used as plural. So that's why we will focus on what we have in the Quran and what we have here in this lesson. That's why there is a possibility that we can say kilahuma talibun, and we can also say kilahuma talibani. There is a possibility that we can say kilahuma jadidun, and we can say kilahuma jididani. Kiltahuma mujtahidatun, and we can also say kiltahuma mujtahidatani. But there is no need for that. There is a possibility, so we have to look for everything that we have in the books. But as we said, afsahu in the Quran, that is used the most, is used as kiltahuma, kiltal jannataini atat ukuluha. So as we can see here, kiltal jannataini atat. So it is atat walaysa atata. So that means in the Quran it is proved that the khabar is singular. And we have discussed this in the beginning of the lesson. Now we move on to point number 6. Point number 6, as we know, we have learned in lesson number 26 of book 2 that when we want to say here it is, we say ha huwa dha. For the dual, we say ha huma dhani. Masculine. For the dual masculine, we say ha huma dhani. And for the feminine, we say ha huma thani. And for the masculine plural, we say ha hum ulai. And for the feminine plural, we say ha hunna ulai. We have more examples, so inshallah it will be further clearer. Aina Bilalun, where is Bilal? Ha huwa dha, here he is. Aina Bilalun wa Hamidun, now we have dual. So for the dual, we will say ha huma dhani, here they are. Aina Bilalun wa akhawahu, where is Bilal and his two brothers? Ha hum ulai, so Bilal and two brothers means 3, that means they are plural, so we will say ha hum ulai, here they are. Aina Maryamu, where is Maryam? Ha hiya dhi. Now we need to note it down that for the feminine we will say ha hiya dhi. For the masculine singular we say ha huwa dha. For the feminine we will say ha huwa dhi. For the singular, here she is. Aina Maryamu wa Aminatu. Now we have 2, so we will say ha huma thani. Okay, now basically this is standing fatha. So it is basically ha, but in regular Arabic, they don't write the standing fatha, they only write the fatha. However, in the Quran, we will find it like this, exactly like this. We have the fatha and then we have standing fatha on this. It can also be written like this. Ha huma tani, here they are. Aina Maryamu wa akhawatuha, where is Maryam and her sisters? So now we can see over here that we say ha hunna ulai, here they are. So here for the feminine plural we use hunna, and then after that we use ulai. Aina Ibrahim, where is Ibrahim? If you want to talk about yourself, you will say ha anada, here I am. Like Ibrahim says about himself, ha anada, here I am. Aina Ibrahimu wa zumala'uhu, where is Ibrahim and his classmates? So it's plural. So for the plural, when you want to say here we are, so we say ha nahnu ulai, here we are. Aina Fatimatu, where is Fatima? So when Fatima talks about herself, she says ha anadi. Again, please note it down that when the feminine talks about herself, she says here I am, ha anadi. And when the masculine talks about himself, singular, he says ha anada. Aina Fatimatu wa zamilatuha, where is Fatima and her classmates? And they say ha nahnu ulai, here we are. We will say ha nahnu akmalna darsana min huna, here we have completed our lesson, and inshallah in the next lesson we will try to complete all the remaining exercises and the vocabulary part as well. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.